Hey guys, how's it going? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind the bar reviews as always. Now, this week's chapter was a little late, a couple days late, but no big deal. This is Nanatsu no Taizai's chapter 282, also known as Seven Deadly Sins. This is Griever, this is my bar, and just for some clarification, guys, the spot is a little different here behind the bar. It's still the same bar and everything, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, my foot's was acting up at work sort of idea, and I have a swelling foot right now, and I have to stay off it. I've taken some ibuprofen, washing it down with the best remedy that I know of, and now so I'm going to have to sit down to do this review. Sorry about that, guys. But hey, if you like the format, I kind of like the dynamic. You still get the whole feel of the bar and stuff. Maybe I could hang a poster or something back there, anime related, manga related, something like that. Make this feel a little more, less bar-like with some manga volumes and make it feel more like a review. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. And that's enough about me and enough about the reviews. Let's get into chapter 282 of Seven Deadly Sins, entitled Gother versus Male. Or Male versus Gother. I'm pretty sure it was Gother versus Male. Though, right off the bat, the chapter title is very misleading, because that's not what this chapter is. This chapter is not a battle. The battle has concluded. The battle is over. I believe, once again, because a lot of people are in the comment sections quoting DBZ Abridged by Team 4-Star, You Rock. They've been quoting them about power levels are bullshit. And once again, yes, I think that the drop that Estamale's power was 200,000 plus was the mistake. The power level scheme was working up until that statement. For the most part. You can nitpick, but for the most part, that was working. By stating that he had a power level of 200,000 plus, you really just, you kind of screwed up. Now, where does King stand, and what does that mean for Escanor nearing noontime? What does that mean for Meliodas? What does that mean for a lot of people? It's got a lot of fanboys butthurt, and it's got a lot of real fans, you know, that are just trying to figure out the dynamics and trying to make sure that the world building is still proper, it's still intact, because that's what happened in Dragon Ball Z. Now, this chapter, once again, is not a versus match, because Gother is now jumping towards the broken and beaten male, who is, you know, or Estamale as I dubbed him. And King is kind of letting him go, saying, let's leave this to Gother sort of idea. I don't really get the line. He says, once again, guys, can't show panels for the next little while, but the concept that his spell would let go, and I'm unsure which spell King's referring to, if he rushed recklessly to try to save them. I'm not sure which spell he's referring to that he's currently holding active. Is it the garden one that's holding, the biome that's holding Deanne and Elizabeth and stuff? I don't really know. But either way, we jump into what Gother does with his mind memory power. And we jump to that hill, that beautiful scenery. And it's a very beautiful widespread shot, guys. It really is. And we see male, fully adult, four archangels male. And he's just sitting there contemplating life, pretty much. And Gother walks up to him. And I like the fact that they made it fully aware. Now, the chapter felt a little rushed, only because I did feel it was rushed, because you could have made this into a two-part chapter. But I feel like, once again, this has been dragged on quite a long time, this Estamale battle and all that stuff. A lot of people are tired of it. We want to jump back over to see what Escanor and Rudeciel and Merlin's group is doing. We want to see what Meliodas' group is doing with Bon and stuff. So I understand that hurrying it up is a good thing, but felt a little convenient here that Male is completely docile at this point. The male inside of here, I was expecting like a journey to find him a little bit, and he would maybe regress to his younger self and not know who Gother was, or not realize what's happening on the outside, and maybe the commandments, which do take form. Now that's a big thing, guys. The commandments actually have a physical form that can be potentially destroyed. Once again, this is inside the mind and soul of Male himself, so these forms are given form because of that reality. I'm unsure, and I'm very doubtful that these forms can appear in the real world, in the real plane of existence. So, but that's beside the point. The point is that we see that Male is just contemplating like, I've done horrible things. I'm done. This has been too much. Nobody wants me back. I've slayed thousands. Countless people have died by my hand. I've been corrupted by this darkness welling up inside of me. I even hurt my beloved Elizabeth. I'm just here looking out at the place that I cherished most, the place that I went to go sit down and think and be alone and just let this world vanish. And he warns Gother. He warns him. He says, this world's going to vanish soon. I am going to disappear. So you should get out while you can. Now that does imply that if Gother were to be trapped in this world and this world vanished while Gother was connected into his mind, Gother would also die. I can see that. That makes sense. Sort of a Matrix thing going on there. And Gother just tries to console him at first. Just says, Elizabeth wouldn't want that. Well, I even hurt my beloved Elizabeth. He said, there are people waiting for you. Nobody's waiting for me. I've killed my brethren. I've killed my allies. And I like this one line here. Once again, can't show panels, and that gets me a little scattershotted throughout a chapter review. But he says, even my piety. Now, I took that as a double meaning. To be his own, what we all have a bit of piety within ourselves, the concept of piety as a sort of as a commandment or as a sin in a sense. It can be taken either way. But I also took it as talking about Zeldris. I don't know why I took it that way. Because Meliodas is the brother that Esterosa looked up to the whole time. But there was something about that. I think because they seem to have spent more time together while he was Esterosa, and he has more current memories of it. He's kind of jumping back and forth a little bit. You see his hands, he's clenching, he's sweating, he's, losing control. And he's just saying, like, I've killed my brethren and all the goddess people and the countless innocents and such, but I've also lost another person. Even though he doesn't want to, that's why he calls it my piety. I feel like that was intentional, like that was a double meaning. That could just be a translation thing, but I like to think that Mael's mind is warped, but still the love and some of the feelings and some of the aspects of him being Esterosa for so long are still with him. And the care he honestly possesses for his younger brother Zeldris is still with him. And he's realized that he can't just go back to being Esterosa, even if that were an option. He can't do that anymore. So he's not only lost one life, but he's lost two in the process of one. By revealing he had one past life, he's damned the other one as well. So now he's at a crossroads of shit and shittier. That's all he's at right now. So that's why he says, I'm tired of this. I just don't want to be a part. And this is where Gother is still trying to convince him, but the commandments who have taken full form are there. And they say, that's right, be gone, doll. You aren't welcome here, sort of idea. And Gother stands up to them and says, oh, so you took physical form. Well, here's the deal. You can't harm me. Your commandments, your powers do not work while you do not have a host. I know this. And I'm like, either that's going to backfire or Gother is being a badass right now. He's like talking shit to almost half of the Demon King, a quarter of the Demon King's power. Because the 10 Commandments equal half of the Demon King's original power, so 4 of them would almost be a quarter. So nearly a quarter of the Demon King's power, and Gother's just up there talking shit to them. And like, yeah, you can't do anything to me actually. Your powers, you can't do anything without a host. You can't do it. They're basically like a symbiote. Spider-Man. It's like, yeah, you could be strong as shit. You could be a Venom or a Carnage or a Spider-Ben. Spider Carnage. I don't care. You can't do anything while you're just like this. So that's too bad. And that's kind of cool because he probably learned this. He probably, once again, with Gother retaining a lot of his memories again about Nausea and about ancient Gother, he probably has a lot of knowledge that he's just privy to, like, once again, this whole secret with Mael, and before that about the bomb thing, and just he's privy to a lot of information. He's just not forthcoming with it. So it's nice to see when push comes to shove, Gother can sit people the fuck down. Now, even though Gother can sit down and talk shit to them, he really, just like they can't do much to him, he can't do really anything about the commandments themselves because they've been given form by Mael. So Mael has to get the strong desire to live. He needs to banish them. He needs to form up the willpower. He really needs a Dreyfus talking to, because my will is as strong as steel, my sword. Dreyfus would have been way more helpful in this situation about that. But what ends up happening is Gotha continuously tells Mal, look, you need to have the strong desire to live. You can banish these commandments. We can go back, and I just want you to live so I can apologize to you properly and all that. Mal sits down and contemplates it. And I'm glad, once again, I felt like this could have gone other ways, but I don't think the way the chapter was written was bad. A little rushed, maybe, but just a little. But because of the length that we've been going on with this scenario for so long without cutting over to other characters, something that Oda of One Piece sometimes does a little too much. Right now, we're kind of in a Tite Kubo, focusing way too long on one thing when there's 3 or 4 things actually going on simultaneously. There needs to be a good balance. So once again, the rushing of this chapter, I'm not totally against. It took away a little bit of the motion that I felt could have been built over 2 chapters, but this is still powerful because I didn't even consider this. I would love to sit back and jump through 10, 12, 20 reviews ago, even ones that aren't on this channel anymore, go back to my old footage, find where I said it, and be able to say, told you so, guys. Unfortunately, I cannot do that because I did not see this coming. I thought it all made sense, and it was explained to everyone. This is how it is. Mal was chosen because he was, and we all understood this because we've seen what Escanor can do. The one who embodies the power of sunshine, the grace of the sun, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't they say, okay, the most powerful member of the Goddess Clan, when Meliodas betrayed, that tipped the balance of power too far one way. This war is going to drag on and more people are going to die. So instead, we're going to swap this out and we're going to restore the balance of power. But actually, it wasn't about restoring the balance of power. I feel like a lot of people in the forums and the threads and things like that are a little confused. So I'm going to explain it right after we get to the main crux of the chapter, right before the last few pages. So keep that in mind, guys, that is how it stood. So Mal asks what the real reason was that he was chosen. Why did he choose him to ruin his life? Explaining that Meliodas, the tipping of the power balance, yes, but there were equally as strong warriors. Mal claims that Elizabeth, now I can see that because Elizabeth has definitely been Archangel tier and gaining the respect of most of the other archangels as a result of this. But to say equal, what did he do with the power of the sun? I just don't understand. Was he misusing it and Escanor knows what the hell to do with it? I don't know. But he says Rudeciel, his older brother, and Elizabeth, and there were other warriors, and I can assume there's probably a couple others that maybe they're leading out, sort of the Chandler Cusacks of the Goddess Clan, maybe, something like that. But regardless of the point, he said that there were people of equal power. So why specifically me? And that got me thinking. I went, okay, yeah, that does actually make sense. If you're going to go on the assumption that they are all equal in power, they're all an equal standpoint, then why Mal? That is a good question. And I didn't think to ask that question. Mal did. And the answer he gets is an answer we've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we have. Now we know. Wheelchair Gother, ancient Gother, is like the epitome of selflessness and selfishness, all wrapped up in one twisted revenge scheme of saving the world. It's the most... This makes you feel bad for everybody. It just does. He did not ruin this person's life needlessly. Because Gother says, it wasn't me who chose you. It was my creator, the true Gother. And he says, look at my face. If this truly is your mind and your memory, my face should be recognizable to you. And then we go through... Mal was on a crusade because that's what Rudeciel kind of instilled in him, the stigma that he instilled in him, ironic there, the stigma that he instilled in his younger brother that, wiping the filth from the world, that demons are filth, and sort of very crusade-like, very, very crusade, very genocidal-like of the Goddess Clan, who are not exactly what we picture when we think of angels and such. And what ends up happening is we see the woman that is Gother's beloved. The one that we all knew was modeled after. And we saw this, I forget which chapter it was, guys, but we saw this a long time ago. It was explained that when Dol Gother was created, ancient Gother had given him the face of the woman he loved, of his lost beloved. But because he didn't want to be one of those creepos, or because he felt like he needed a proper connection sort of idea, this wasn't the point to try to bring her back in some type of futile attempt, he gave the same face that he adored and loved and cherished, but made the doll the body of a man. That way he could not feel sexual desire or romantic desire towards Dol Gother. And I'm just sitting back like, oh shit. Her name apparently was Glarinia, something like that. I believe it's Glariza. I think that's what I think it was. It wasn't an X, it was a Z. It was Glariza. So this woman was named Glariza. And we see Wheelchair Gother outside of the wheelchair with black long hair and black goatee. And he looks awesome. He really does. I hope that character comes back. I feel like he's the mastermind. Though this kind of feels like a complete revenge. So maybe he won't actually come back. I have a feeling that we'll see him again, whether it's just in a flashback or something. But I feel like there's one key scene we're missing to wrap this all up in an even prettier bow. But either way, Mael was the one. On his crusade to impress his older brother and such, to be the shining light of Stigma, he slaughtered this innocent woman. And so Gother planned this. He planned it all. And it's just like, okay, so now we have something to go on here. This is all making twisted revenge sort of sense. Now, I'm just going to jump until we get to the end of the last little bit here, guys, because I want to kind of put this all in perspective, because once again I saw a lot of confusion in the forums. So I just want to clarify this for anybody who is a little confused by what this all means and how it all makes sense. So Gother starts running out of time, and and Mael's kind of hyperventilating over this revelation that's the reason, that's why he was chosen, and it all sort of makes sense to him. Now, Gother runs out of time and he starts fading in and out while the commandments are kind of surrounding Mael and saying, we'll be here when you die, so give us your body, we'll give you more power, give us your body. This is when everything makes sense to Mael, because he was thinking about it, he thought about it, isolated beloved. I was thinking, and I believe this is a past thought, because I believe a few chapters ago, these were the thoughts he had. Why me? Why am I being the one damned? Why am I being punished? I didn't do anything sort of mentality. Now he realizes he may not have deserved this, so to speak, but he did an evil deed. And this was a punishment. This was cause and effect. And by recognizing that he is not above it all, he is not completely whitewashed and completely, clean of anything evil or any wrongdoing. He has done terrible things in the past that were by his own hand and by his own choices. And that kind of revelation brought it about that he's not sitting there sulking, being Mr., a millennial sort of attitude about it, being like, why me? Why does all this stuff happen to me? I didn't do anything wrong. Now that he's realized, and once again, this is where I felt like it could have been dragged out a little more, because it goes through the 5 stages pretty fast. It's sort of the 5 stages of grief, but in reverse. It's kind of like, okay, he recognizes he was at fault, he did do wrong things, he has to accept that, he has to be resolute and move on and accept the good and the bad that he has done and try to move on with life. He does that all in the span of like a page, but that's basically essentially what happens. The commandments lose control and he banishes them. Be gone. So then the end of the chapter comes. We're jumping back to a reality. We see Gother falling out of this shining thing of light. All the characters are going, what's going on, Deanna King? What's going on? King rushes to try to catch Gother, but it doesn't matter because Mael is back. Mael in full form is back. It's wonderful. It's great. that's the end of the chapter. Mael has returned to peak form, and Gother just looks up saying, hey, yeah. And there's Archangel full Mael. There's no Estamael anymore. He's back to the form we saw in his own mind's memory. The form of the fourth Archangel, Mael. Really cool. Hope he doesn't get a grace, because that would, like, the commandments have been banished, but are they destroyed? That's something. And then you have the graces of Sariel and Tarmiel. What happens to those? Because he did slaughter them. They are dead. What does that entail? What does that mean for the story? There's a lot of questions about what this all means, guys, and where is Mael going to go from here? Because the ending part says, now it's time to get back Meliodas. So basically, we've solved all the other problems. There's one thing left to do, and that's to go get Meliodas back to the way it was. Okay. So that's the end of the chapter, guys. Now, I did say I was going to do a little explanation thing here. So that's the end of the actual review. Now, if you guys want to stay, it'll be probably 4 or 5 more minutes. I'm going to just explain how all this connects, because a lot of people seem to be confused about, what do you mean Esterosa was a dog? What do you mean, who is this woman? So that's what Gotha meant and stuff. It's like, guys, we already had all this information. The only new piece of information was that it was Mael who killed Gother's beloved, the original face of Dol Gother. That is the only new piece of information. We already knew all the other stuff. And that's what I'm going to sit down here and explain right now to you guys in 3, 2, 1. The Holy War was started because of Meliodas' betrayal. Let's start with that. Bare basics. Meliodas betrayed the demon clan. He slaughtered 2 of the commandments before he left. And he went on the side of the goddesses. That tipped the power scale. It also started the Holy War. Because now the goddess clan, being the genocidal maniacs led by Rudesiel that we've seen, are likely the original starters of this Holy War. Of course, a lot of the commandments wanted to go get revenge on Meliodas in the first place. So it was probably a little bit on both sides to really start it. But either way, the Holy War had begun. But the balance of power had shifted in the favor of the goddess clan, with Meliodas being the strongest of the demons fighting on their side, and 2 of the other commandments at a commission, plus actual Gother being in jail at some point in the Holy War, whether or not the whole time, that's hard to say. That is a serious detriment to the demon side of power. And Gother saw this. Now, sometime during this, Mael, during the Holy War, had slaughtered, or it might have been before, but I'm pretty sure that the Holy War started after, so Mael at some point then slaughtered the woman that we know, as I explained in the review, that Gother was in love with, this Glariza woman. And she had the face of Dol Gother, because when Gother created, and we already knew this information, guys, when Gother created his doll, the Dol Gother, he gave her the face of his lost beloved, his lost lover. This was already information, but gave her the body of a man so he would not be sexually and romantically attracted to her. That was the information that was already given. I believe it was given chapters upon chapters ago, but we had that information. The point of that is that the only key thing we are missing is who killed her. Well, when ancient Gother decided that he had to, once again, the selflessness of the commandment. That could have been the cause. I'm not saying it was, but it does kind of neaten up in a nice little bow if you consider selflessness. If the commandment truly makes someone feel selflessness, then they would think the point of war is going against that. So they would try to fix it. If you really truly think of the core aspect of what is it to be without selfish desires and be totally selfless, then would you not wish, by proxy, you'd almost wish the best on others. You'd have the ultimate level of sympathy and empathy to feel for everyone else. And if there was a war going on, the key thing on your mind would be to stop that war. That could be the reason, but it may not be. I'm just pointing that as a possibility, that it was the commandment that forced his hand to do this, or it was part of it. The problem with that theory is the way he gets revenge at the same time, so he clearly is still selfish to a point. Because this is all a mask. Yes, it needed to be done. Gother is somewhat of a hero in this regard. He could not end the holy war by himself. What he needed to do was make it so that the balance was tipped, not fixed, but tipped towards the demons. And not because he himself is a demon and wanted to see the demon succeed. He knew of the existence of the coffin of eternal darkness. And he wanted them, the Goddess clan, to be desperate enough to use this and essentially trap both of them and end the holy war. To seal the demon clan away and end the holy war. The problem with this is that, once again, he knew that that was basically prolonging a stalemate. However, you could also make that argument that 1,000 years, 3,000 years, which is what we're currently at, but it could have taken 5,000 years before the demon clan was released from this coffin. And at that time, we have, as we've seen, we have a whole new mess of characters and new people and new perspectives, and different things are occurring. The end of the Holy War is coming after 3,000 years. It would not have ended this fast as in the present storyline. It would not have come down like this had he just let it go on. So I somewhat see his perspective that right now in our time and era with the players involved, the chessboard is at a stalemate. No one's winning this game. But if I change the game, if we change the game from chess, to a whole another, let's turn the chessboard into a 3D chessboard or something like that. Then you're expanding the possibilities. So that makes a lot of sense. So he needed to do this to get rid of the stalemate. And I've heard a lot of people say that that was just a delay. And it is in one sense. But once again, remember, now you're adding new pieces to the board. The chessboard was at a stalemate, but what if I give each new side 10 new pieces? Now the game has changed, because how are they going to use these pieces? They were caught in a deadlock before. How are they going to fix it now? The game has changed and anything can happen. So, with all that being said, at the same time, the way he was going to do this was, as I said, he needed to tip the balance of power in the demon clan's favor. That is for the sake of ending the holy war. That's a righteous thing to do. But at the same time, he has lost his lover, his one true love, to this war, as far as we can tell. And nonetheless, to Mael. Someone that he knows he himself, though being a great magician and great demon in his own right, can probably not defeat on his own. So instead of defeating him, what does he do? He brings about the ultimate revenge. The ultimate revenge, ladies and gentlemen. He decides that the one who killed him, out of all the people, as Mael asks Gother, why me? I might have been one of the most powerful, but I wasn't the only one. Why was I chosen? For revenge. Because it was a plan, it required someone, and out of those people, once again, this is why the selflessness commandment, I don't think works that way, because Gother knew what he was doing. He chose Mael. He could have chosen Rudessiel. He could have chosen Elizabeth. Maybe it wouldn't have worked as well, who knows? But he chose Mael. Because to him, he was not innocent. He was his wife's murderer. So out of all of them, who deserved to have such a cruel fate? To twist everything that they are, inside out, and become the one thing they despise the most? Who deserves that fate? Well, to him, something that he couldn't let go. He could not let go of his hatred and his regret and his just every emotion he could feel towards Mael. Regardless of knowing the greater good, he could not let go of these. So he felt that emotion. So it worked out in the strangest of revenge-filled ways. He turned Mael into Estarossa, named him after a dog. Because a dog is, and forced Mael into dealing with some of the worst tragedies you can imagine. I mean, we've all followed this, and this has been going on a long time, guys. But we've all followed Mael and seen his backstory and seen all the heartache and tragedy and how his mind has turned inwards and how his soul has now shattered about everything that he's become. Death would have been too quick. Ancient Gother wanted him to feel the pain of loss, and he could not bring it about the way that he felt it. So he went after the one thing that he cherished the most, and that was the embodiment of who he was. And he turned it on its head. And he got the ultimate revenge on the killer, on the murderer of his beloved. And that ties everything up. That is just great writing, guys. That really is. I questioned where this was going a little while, and I originally didn't kind of like some of the choices made. But Nakaba, he knows what he's doing. He's in this for the long game. He's not trying to win this game at halftime. He's looking all the way down to the last minute in the fourth quarter. He is ready. He is ready to see this through to the end. And I love what he has done with the characters. I love how he made this all work, and how interesting such a background, flashback-only character of Wheelchair Gother has expanded and made still affecting 3,000 years later. He's still affecting the events of what's happening. And it's just the cherry on top to find out that is the whole reason. That he almost had like a plan on top of a plan, and he got a 2-for-1, 2 birds, 1 stone. He got his revenge in the most cruel, twisted, and satisfying way you could possibly bring up. Death would have been too quick sort of mentality. And also he got to stop the Holy War and bring about its potential end here at the end of the series because of the events he laid out and the choices he made. Guys, he's awesome. He is awesome. I love Wheelchair Gother. I love him. We got to see more of that guy. Anyways, everybody, I hope that clears up for a lot of people that seem to be confused. Esterosa was the dog that when Male and Elizabeth were in that field that is inside of Male's mind. That's the little dog that they found that kind of looks like a hawk sort of character. Which questions, is it from Purgatory? Don't know. But that was the dog named Esterosa and all that stuff. That's how the memory got twisted. Named him after a dog. He chose him because of the revenge. We already knew this information once again. I hope I explained it the best way I know how here on the fly, guys. My foot's kind of still throbbing from all the crap. So anyways, let's end the video here. I know this has been a longer review, but once again, the review ended about 10 minutes ago. So if you didn't stay for the explanation, I hope you did, and I hope it cleared up some things for you. If not, either way, like, subscribe, comment. It's always appreciated, guys. I'm looking forward to Chapter 283. I hope it's on time next week. I really do. I don't believe there's a break. This has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for Chapter 282. I really, really am looking forward to what's going to happen next. Did you like the fact that Male came back in full form, or did you hate it? Did you want that to be the end of Male's storyline? Did you think the writing was great? Let me know down in the comment section down below. As always, drink responsibly. We'll see you back here next time, guys. See ya.